The Unplayable Podcast is proudly presented by Qantas, the official podcast partner and the official airline partner of Cricket Australia. Once again this season, Qantas is proud to be flying Australia's cricketers as they take on the world. Hello everybody, welcome to the Unplayable Podcast. Day 2 here at the SCG, and it was a great day for batting. We saw hundreds to Joe Root, nearly 100 to Travis Head, and plenty more action in between. Louis Cameron is with me, Josh on a finger, and I want to start, Lou, with maybe the biggest talking point of the day. Certainly it was the thing that got us talking in the press box. It was the Ben Stokes-Marnus Labuschagne confrontation in the final session. Yeah, do you want to talk us through what happened there?
Yeah, well, I wasn't 100% sure where you were going there because I felt like you could potentially make 4 different topics the biggest talking point of the day. The Jamie Smith wicket, the Marnus Labuschagne and Ben Stokes kind of spat, but then Root and Head make contrasting, excellent knocks. So, let's talk about that because that's probably the one that people love. People love a bit of biffo, don't they? And
there was a bit of physical altercation as well.
That's right, yeah. And I'd be interested to get your thoughts on where you thought that went. But how it kind of went down was Stokes amid a kind of out of control bowling effort from England. Like they look really ragged out there today, I thought, apart from Stokes himself. I mean, he got the 2 wickets, again had to kind of dig his side out of trouble. He is this team's best bowler, and that might even be the case when they're at full strength, and they're nowhere near full strength with the 3 quicks they've got out there, the 3 frontline quicks. But he concedes a second boundary in a row, I think it was, or second boundary in as many balls off Travis Head. This one, was about a leg stump line. He thought it was a chance of hitting the stumps. Head squeezes down on it. Another 4 past fine leg, and things are starting to get out of control. Marnus Labuschagne's at the non-striker's end, kind of comes down the wicket, and this is where we don't know what happened exactly. He has said something. It looked like to Travis Head, some kind of words of encouragement potentially, but we don't know. It might have said something that rolled up Stokes, or was intended to roll up Stokes. And it did roll up Stokes. He's kind of turned around and gone back at Marnus, and Marnus looked a bit nonplussed, which makes me think that he probably didn't intend to elicit the response that he got. So as Stokes is walking back to his mark, looks like Stokes goes back for a bit more. Marnus holds his ground, and then the physical contact. My read was that Stokes couldn't hear him. It's loud out there. The crowd would have been kind of buzzing, especially when they sensed a bit of drama. I think he has then put his arm around Marnus's shoulder to hear him better, because Marnus didn't look affronted by the physical contact. But yeah, did you think that was kind of overboard?
No, I think it looked like it could have escalated when he did go to put his arm around. And Mark Wall made a good point on the Fox coverage that when Stokes had his arm on the neck of Labuschagne, he did give it a bit of a squeeze. It wasn't.
I missed that bit.
Wasn't completely soft and friendly. So a bit unusual to see that on a cricket field, isn't it? And I'm not sure sort of where I stand on it, but
Well, I saw Alicia Healy as well on Fox said that the match referee might need to get involved here if. It is, as we suspect, if the incident is roughly along the lines of what we've just spoken about, in terms of, Stokes has got annoyed with something Marnus has said. Marnus has had a few words back. Stokes has kept going. Nothing too out of line there from a bit of, normal argy-bargy. In that spirit, and, if Stokes was then just trying to hear him, like just say, hey, mate, what did you actually say? Like, let's make sure we're on the same page here. Then I really think it's fine. Like, I really don't think... I mean, it's very different to say... the Sam Qantas versus Virat Kohli thing last year at the MCG, or last season at the MCG, and even the Qantas versus the entire India team late on, was it day 1 or 2 of that SCG test, when Bumrah and the whole Indian team kind of rounded on him like that. There were elements there that felt like intimidating behaviour. I mean, certainly the Kohli bumping into Qantas was intimidating. So I didn't have a big problem if the incident was as we suspect.
Yeah, and when Labuschagne and Head were talking to the umpires after Stokes had left the area, the cameras just showed Labuschagne smiling and laughing as if to say that there was nothing poorly intended about it. I noticed earlier in the day, Kerry O'Keefe said that it looked like the pitch had a bit of extra testosterone in it today. And Joe Root said it was trickier to bat today. Well, there was extra testosterone out in the middle as well as that, wasn't there? So Ben Stokes, as you said, was great with the ball, but he ended up getting the wicket of Labuschagne. So if there was a little bit of niggle there from Marnus, it did backfire on him.
It took a lot of self-control, I reckon, from Stokes not to give Marnus an absolute gobful because, he's run past him and he's just stared at him, and I think he chose the right course of action because having been in that position before at a much lower level of cricket, of course, Josh, you just know when you get one over the batter and you dismiss them, like you just feel like you're king of the world. You want to give them an absolute send-off, at least I have when I've been in that position before, and I might have actually made the mistake. Stokes didn't. But yeah, he showed a lot of self-control, and like it shouldn't take away from an excellent performance from Stokes because he had to put his team on his back there. Like the way Trav just blitzed them everywhere. Matthew Potts in particular was poor. We've kind of wondered on this podcast, why hasn't he played earlier? Well, I think we saw why he hasn't played earlier, albeit, maybe there's some kind of nets rust. He's been out here for almost 2 months and hasn't played a game. They haven't really, I don't think even, was he one of the ones who went?
He went to Canberra,
yeah.
For that one, yeah.
So, I mean, would he bowled 8-10 overs in that in 2 months? You're going to be a bit rusty, but this might be his one kind of Ashes opportunity.
Bit of a sidebar, but how much would you pay for full access to the stump microphones at a game like this? I mean, you'd hear some stuff, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you wonder whether the stump mic would have picked up all of what was going on there because it was kind of mid-pitch, but that would be something you could charge a lot for.
Let's talk about Travis Head's innings because he finished the day 91 not out off only 87 balls. I mean, he hit 15 fours. Some of the shots that he was hitting, I mean, Joe Root's innings was described as classical today. You can't really describe Travis Head's batting as classical. There were some shots where he was airborne, both feet off the ground, and he still got it to the rope. There was this little squat drive where he sort of crouches down and still squirts it through the offside, and then that one-leg pull shot right at the start of his innings. I mean, that was pretty nice to watch, I must say, when you get that one knee up and get the ball over to the square leg rope. Yeah,
I'm completely different to what we saw from Joe Root, but in some ways they are, well, maybe in one way they're similar. You bowl like a good length ball or just short with any width outside off stump, even a 3.5 stump line ball, that goes for 4 a lot of the time. And it's the same for Root as well. Like when he was going today and yesterday, like any width, and he was able to kind of put it either side of point and get boundaries or at least get off strike. So just the way they do it is completely different, but in many respects it's equally difficult to bowl to. And the other thing, I thought he just showed great judgment on the balls he drove at. Like it never feels like he's outright well, maybe in Perth it felt like he was outright slogging when they wanted to get that win inside the second day, but it felt very much in control, and the margin for error is very small, but when you miss, he punishes you, and he kind of only drives when it's very full, and then as we spoke about, he punches kind of width. So brutal innings. Like it felt like he was going to score a century in a session, and if it wasn't for some very good night watchman work from Michael Neser, he would have got there, I think. Yeah,
a bit of a surprise to see Neser come out. Scott Boland has been the regular night watchman. And then Neser explained to us at the press conference that he was night watchman so that Stark wasn't batting 11.
I kind of see...
Is that how you understood that?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Yeah, because it's a very deep batting lineup that they've got. It would be, what would it be, Neser at 9, Stark at 10 ordinarily, because you've got Webster at 8. Yeah. Stark is averaging 30 or 25 for the series.
Yeah, high 20s, I think.
Yeah. More than Weatherall, I think maybe less than Marnus after today, but the guy is hitting him very well. That's why I was kind of surprised that they went with Webster at 8 in this team in the first place. Like I just thought like they could have picked a spinner as a bit of a free swing, just given the very deep batting they'd already have in a team with Neser and Stark in it. So it does make sense. You don't want to have Stark stranded at number 11.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
When he's really contributing with a bat. So that made a lot of sense. I guess Neser might feel like he's slightly overqualified for the job, but he's gotten through, and would you rule out a Michael Neser test century on day 3?
Wow, wouldn't that be something? He faced 15 of the last 19 balls of the day, as you said, did his job to perfection. He was hit on the arm, which ended up finishing the day 5 balls early. He said he was okay, so for the Michael Neser fans out there, he will be okay to continue tomorrow, but maybe a bit of smart gamesmanship there as well, I reckon.
Well, we were kind of wondering about that because Neser is, such a tough unit, and it just feels like he doesn't have that bluff in him. When Zach Crawley did it, was it at Lords earlier this year, where he just wasted, he got hit on the fingers and just wasted time essentially. I think he subsequently admitted to doing as much. If Crawley was doing it, you would kind of believe that it was a bit of a bluff and a bit of a time wasting tactic. But with Neser, it just feels like too nice a guy and too honest a bloke to A, show some pain, but also B, bend the rules.
Okay, so we'll mark down Michael Neser 100 for tomorrow. You heard that here.
Put that
first.
in your notes. Yeah.
Well, the other big talking point, Lou, you touched on off the top, was the Jamie Smith dismissal today. I will get you to talk through it, but England were in a really strong position at that point of the game. He was during a 94-run partnership with Joe Root. England, bossing the game. They were looking at over 400 in their first innings. And then Labuschagne comes on to bowl in the lead up to the second new ball, bowling a lot of short stuff, and somehow ekes out a wicket.
Do you want to play a game here with this one, Josh? I'm just turning my laptop screen away from you so you can't cheat.
Okay.
I'm going to read out 4 different descriptions of either the shot or the bowling of Marnus.
Okay.
And I want you to, and then give you 4 former Test players.
Okay.
And you've got to match the former Test players with the description of what unfolded with that
that's
wicket.
Good.
So I've got brainless as my first one. I've got dumb as my second one. Filthy and rubbish. Now, the former players are Justin Langer, Brett Lee, Mark Taylor and Stephen Finn. So both sides of the Ashes divide.
All right.
Piling into Jamie Smith and or Marnus Labuschagne's bowling.
Well, filthy... Can you give me the Aussies again? That's definitely an Aussie.
Lee, Langer, Taylor.
That's Brett Lee, I'd say.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Brainless feels like something an English person would say.
Are you bluffing? Did you read this beforehand? This is very good. Yeah, that's Stephen Finn.
Who are the other two?
So you've got dumb and rubbish, and you've got Mark Taylor and Justin Langer.
JL, he's going to say dumb.
Well done. Yeah, I think it's not the first time he's said dumb batting. I think maybe the last test about.
I
something
think he
else.
called Harry Brooks batting dumb yesterday at some point. Didn't he?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, he's doubled down on it today. And then you've got rubbish. I think that was a description of the bowling from Mark Taylor. Actually, that's a great clip. If you watch, it's on Triple M socials. I think it ended up in our live blog. Mark Taylor said this is exactly the kind of rubbish bowling that gets wickets. The next ball, it got a wicket. I mean, all of the above, right? Like Marnus and Travis Head. That part. What is it about those two? They were the two that got under Stokes' skin later in the day. They're the two, the famous World Cup final combination that won Australia that title in Ahmedabad. And here they've come on to bowl, a bit of filth in some respects, just to tie Australia over to the second new ball. It was also in the lead into lunch. So. And England kind of saw an opportunity a little bit, is what Joe Root later said. Although I feel like that might be a bit of revisionist history. And they're mostly knocking it around. Jamie Smith, I don't know. I'd have to look back, but I feel like he wasn't. It didn't look like he was desperately trying to score runs off it. But yeah, Marnus is bowling with this, the short ball field, and he can actually get the speeds up a little bit. And this ball, I think, was 129, so not absolutely slow, but also not the kind of pace you would expect to trouble a guy who averages over 40 in Test cricket. And he's tried to basically baseball bat it down the ground, probably over mid-off or straight back at the sight screen, and miscues it. And Scott Boland, he's a decent fielder, but in this team, he's probably the least athletic, maybe Usman Khawaja. So you're probably putting those two in your least likely spots to get a catch, and that's where the catch went. It's hard to defend.
Well, the pile-in has already started. I've seen some articles around saying it's easily the worst English dismissal of the summer, and there's been plenty to choose from. Some have been calling it the worst dismissal of the decade. So certainly there will be plenty to talk about about that dismissal. When he was out at 5 for 320, becoming 6 for 320, England lost their last 5 wickets for 60 runs. And on a good batting strip, desperately needed to put in a good first innings total, and they didn't do it.
And I think that's the key point here is, you can debate the merits of him trying to attack Australia in that situation. I think there's some merit in that, and I can see what Joe Root is saying about it. But equally, like, you've got to be responsible for your actions, and you've got Will Jacks behind you, but you're basically down to your last recognised batters. Is there a case for the long game? That's not something this England team seems to think about a lot, but is there a case to get to the second new ball with 2 set batters, and then relaunch from there, or even attack the second new ball? Because that's something Jamie Smith did reasonably well in Adelaide. He got a lot of grief, I think, for how he went out in Adelaide. I think that was to the second new ball when Mitchell Starc broke through. Yeah. And again, that was pulling. Look, they were chasing, close to 400 on that occasion, maybe 370, 380. They kind of needed to take a few risks to get to that total. Here, they were right on top of Australia. Like, 5 for 320, you said. Yep. Second new ball coming up. Boland and Starc, and to a lesser extent Neser, have all bowled a lot of overs in the series. There's no spinner. Can you dig in and absorb some pressure for a little bit? That's not what this England team is really about, despite the fact they keep talking about absorbing pressure. Again, it's just a case of them having a really strong position in the game and throwing it away. Yeah,
and I guess you also have Joe Root at the other end, who didn't look like getting out.
I mean, that's the biggest one. And that's probably actually the best point you could possibly make about it is Joe Root's ended up getting out, playing a shot he probably wouldn't have if they hadn't been 8. I think they were 8 down at that point. So he had to attack Australia to score some runs because he was batting with Matthew Potts and then Josh Tongue after that, not particularly recognised batters. So it's forced him to do something different, and he did not offer a chance apart from his first ball, which he played that massive cover drive. He barely looked like getting out. And that's a big one. And it's a bit of a theme. Like, they left him hanging at the Gabba. He was 138 not out there. Right, yeah. And the famous one, of course, is Edgbaston 2023, when they basically lost the Test match on the back of Ben Stokes declaring on him, when he was batting even better than either of the 2 innings in this series. So Root has a remarkable temperament to just kind of soak all this in, to accept how his team plays, to accept the highs of it, and ride the frustrating lows and not turn on his teammates. He's such a classy guy. I've just got so much admiration for him, because if he was a more selfish batter, he would surely be going, like, what are you doing to me? I'm in the form of my life. I'm batting as good as he talked about maybe getting to the 29-30 Ashes. I think it's 29-30, or is it 30-31? The
next
one
here. Next one here.
Yeah. That's a long way away, and he's going well enough that you think he could get there. So classy guy, but surely some frustration there.
So he's England's all-time leading run scorer, and he's been underutilised by England effectively. Yeah, incredible stuff, really. Let's talk about his wicket. He got through that second new ball with really no dramas. Scott Boland was zipping it around everywhere. In fact, I feel like he was a bit unlucky not to get a wicket during that spell. In the end, it was Michael Neser who came on. He wasn't given that second new ball, even though he was given the first new ball. So that was a bit of a change from Australia. But Neser came in, bowled a short ball at Root. It probably jumped a bit more than he thought, and then a really athletic caught and bowled, just another one to add to Neser's catalogue there now. And he said that was a plan that he'd been working on with Usman Khawaja just a ball or 2 before. So isn't that nice when a plan comes together?
Yeah, that was your question in the press conference, and a good one. Again, it's Root playing he's probably thinking about getting 2 there, because I think they had 3 guys out in the leg side and no mid-wicket. So if he bunts that into the leg side, he can kind of scramble back for 2. I think it was the first ball of an over as well. So, he's thinking about how can I maximise my run scoring capacity with so few wickets left. But Neser is, and he had to dive across the wicket square as well. So it would have been kind of hard on the old elbows. Such an athletic guy. He's offered so much to Australia in this series. And I think I saw, I'm not sure if it finished up this way, but his bowling average has actually gone below Scott Boland's.
No, you're absolutely right. That was pointed out by our colleague Adam Burnett. Scott Boland has 80 wickets at 18.47 in tests. Neser, he's up to 21 wickets at 17.19. So just ahead of the Victorian now.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean,
much smaller sample size, of course, but
yeah, and speaks to a wider thing in this series of Australia winning what is it? Well, 3 tests now. Could be 4 without Hazelwood and. They've won 2 tests without Hazelwood and Cummins in the team. Cummins came back and played that one. But they're down to their apart from Stark, this is the B grade bowling attack. This is the Australia A bowling attack with Mitchell Stark in it. No Lyon, no Cummins, no Hazelwood. I feel like we actually haven't spoken about that weirdly enough in this series of. Australia have had some injury stuff. We've spoken about England bringing this high octane pace attack. Well, and none of them are here. Wood, Archer, Atkinson, all gone. And Australia are in a somewhat similar boat. Yet their reserve bowlers are doing a much better job.
When Boland was zipping it around everywhere, Stuart Broad was on SEN and he said, "Honestly, guys, if Australia had Cummins and Hazelwood, England would be all out for under 250 on this pitch." So
he's the king of the backhanded compliment, is he? It's like, oh, you're doing well, but if this thing, if your 2010 team had done this, he's just very good at needling Australians, isn't he? It's a real art form.
Okay, that's a wrap on day 2 here at the SCG. Australia trailed by 218 runs. Travis Head needs 9 runs for that century. It would be his 3rd of the Ashes summer. Play is going to begin at 10 o'clock Eastern time again tomorrow, so don't miss the first ball and we'll catch you after play.
That's right, and let's hope that we're not necessarily talking about Big Bash Gridley at the end of the day. I mean, we can talk about it anyway because it's fun, because I feel like yesterday I got a lot of time playing Big Bash Gridley because it rained so much. So if we don't get the opportunity to play Big Bash Gridley, that's because we've had lots of play.
And hopefully we're talking about Michael Neser's maiden Test 100.
Let's see.